This is a matchup that at least game one is very tough for blue-white approach. Enough that Jim has 4 copies of Authority of the Councils on the sideboard.
Yep.
Players in the standard classic. That is time in the round. Active player finishes.
A mulligan and a scry to the bottom for Tad.
At least Authority stacks. So if you have a bunch of Authority of the Consuls, you gain multiple life per creature.
Turn 1 will be Bomat, Courier, and a swing. Jim to 19. Does Jim have Authority of the Councils? It looks like he does. May not have the turn 1 untapped white mana.
It looks like we have Island and Glacial Fortress.
There's an island and a go. For Macaraeg, another Bomat Courier swing puts Jim to 18. And he'll add Soulscar Mage to the table. Jim will opt. These early turns are so dangerous for the blue-white approach deck. He doesn't have very much interaction early on.
Yep.
Now that opt picked up a Fumigate, so if Jim can survive to turn 5, he should be fine.
And Authority will help with that.
Yeah, Authority of the Councils. So this is one of his 4 sideboard copies of the rare.
Obviously, on the draw, he can't have this turn 1 before the Bomat Courier. I mean, it was nice that the Soulscar Mage on turn 2 wasn't some other haste creature. So he's getting as much value as he realistically can on the draw with this card.
2 more damage, Jim down to 16. Because all the creatures from Tad are 1-power creatures, it hasn't been too much damage. And you see Authority going to work. Tapped on Crop Crasher. That was a 4-point life swing already from Authority of the Councils.
Yep, that's a big win for Jim, especially when you're trying to leverage cards like Fumigate. Assuming Jim can make his land drops on time,
right,
that's just huge.
Another Authority of the Councils from Jim, and those, the creatures sit into the battlefield tapped, and now when a creature enters the battlefield under Tad's control, Jim will gain 2.
He's going off.
Yeah, 5 damage from Tad. Jim down to 12. He's got 2 of his sideboard cards, but he's still taking a lot of damage. Tad just says go. No plays here. He's got 3 cards in hand.
He did pick up a second Crasher, though Tad's kind of in a weird spot. You know, you want to cast the Crasher because even post-sweeper, you cast it, and then it can't attack right away because of the authorities.
Yeah.
However, if you cast it and it dies right away, that's not really a good spot either. So you don't think it'll meaningfully deal any damage before the sweeper comes down. Of course, Jim's only going to 4 on the following turn, but we are in Settle the Wreckage territory anyway.
Right, so there's the argument, right? Jim would gain 2 life if he had played it, but then take 3 next turn, perhaps. So the exchange is good, I guess. It's likely that Jim is losing, barring a Fumigate anyway.
Jim had an interesting decision there. I believe he does not have 5th land or 2nd
Yeah.
white source. He went with 3rd authority instead of casting Glimmer here.
Yeah, Glimmer or casting Cast Out. He's going to Aether Meltdown the on-crop Crasher and just take 2 and go to 10. So Jim's actually staying pretty healthy on life points. Now there are 5 cards under the Bomat Courier, which that's concerning. Now with 3 Authority of the Councils in play, look at Tad's hand. There's at least 1 Bomat Courier in it. I mean, that's just not a card anymore.
Nope. Yeah, the on-crop Crasher in hand, also barely a card.
Tad is going to cast Hazoret. He'll give Jim 3 life points back.
Okay, that one's a card. If Jim finds white source here.
Fumigate's big, right? That Bomat Courier with 5 cards under it.
Plains.
And Plains. That's huge.
There is
Jim
still the
hits.
matter of the Hazoret. And
Yeah, but 5 cards.
yeah, getting rid of that is huge.
Plains, Fumigate. Jim hits the white mana, gains 3, and all 5 of those cards are forever lost in exile. Jim gaining life on that one, goes up to 16. Hazoret's got a lot of work to do. We'll see if she is up to it. A discard of Bomat Courier deals 2 to Jim. A swing for 5. Will put Jim down to 9.
Cast Out will solve this problem.
Yeah. And so far, this is looking pretty good for Jim. How do you feel about is that too risky for Tad to have tapped off the red mana there?
Oh, with the Bomat Courier?
Yeah.
It's pretty significant. You don't really want to discard Hazoret, though you're kind of already committed to winning this game outside of combat largely. You play a bunch of Hazorets too.
All right, Cast Out takes care of Hazoret. Now Tad draws another one, so it'll send Jim up to 12. Casts it. His last card is a Glory Bringer. These Authority of the Councils Right, Jim gained 3 instead of taking 5.
Yeah, Jim's going to be just taking some damage on this turn. Unfortunately, Farm, the card he just picked up this turn, just destroys an attacking or blocking creature. Weird template. You don't really see cards that do exactly this.
Glimmer of Genius from Jim. He'll try for that. Fumigate, Plains. He wants neither of those, so they'll go to the bottom.
Yeah, those don't really play here.
Draws Approach and Regal Caracal. Well, that's quite the improvement.
Those are both excellent.
Now, he is on a 2-turn clock, so we got to watch out here. For 5 mana, a tapped Glorybringer. Jim goes to 15. Hazoret puts him back down to 10. Tad has lethal next turn.
Yeah, Regal Caracal doesn't do as much as it would now that the Glorybringer is out there. Being able to cast Approach here would be nice.
There's an interesting decision from Tad as to whether or not casting Glorybringer was even better than discarding it there.
Right. Yeah, immediately Jim gains 3 life.
Yeah, it turned on the farm in Jim's hand. I think there might have been an argument for just discarding it and swinging 7. Jim started the turn at 12, so he'd be at 5 now.
Yeah, I'm pretty into that.
And Jim's got a decision. Here's land 7. He has
got 3 spells, but he can only play 1 this turn, which is very awkward.
Caracal, Farm, and Approach are his 3 options. If he casts Approach, he takes a ton of damage. Might still be correct.
Yeah, so we go to 17. He's facing down 5 on the board. There's going to be some shock activation. So it's going to go up to 11 from 9.
Right. If he just has another Approach waiting on top of his deck for him, he wins.
The really awkward thing here is that Farm is an instant, Market's a sorcery.
Yeah.
He would love to be able to just farm and market in this turn cycle.
Yeah, that would be the best play, but he can't do it. Approach, 7 from the top. So buried under 6 cards. Jim goes to 17. Now he has to weather the storm. Discards a PNLR, does Tad. Jim goes to 15, a swing for 9. Jim goes to 6. Go.
Looking for Approach.
Yeah, another Approach here would win the match.
Yeah, even Farm on the Glorybringer, he's just dead to Hazoret plus activation.
Right. Even, actually, Regal Caracal is no longer good enough. Tad can attack with Glorybringer, exert, not exert, doesn't matter, just attack and discard.
Yep.
Jim would need to have the mana for Caracal and Farm. I don't think he has that.
Yeah, and he drew Opt. A basic land would have been a lot better than Opt, but Opt might find a meaningful spell.
Yeah, he'd need a cast out. No, that doesn't even work because these Ramanap ruins. Tad just has 6 points of damage in a lot of different ways. Opt from Jim. Not the card he's looking for. He'll go 1 deeper. Draws. Settle the Wreckage. Well, that was quite the hit, Ryan. I didn't know if there was a card that would save him. I think that one will do it.
That should buy some time.
Jim says go.
There's still a lot of non-combat damage potential, and Jim is at 6.
Chandra, Torch of Defiance is the play from Tad.
Speaking of non-combat damage potential.
Chandra at 4. Just a swing of Glorybringer from Tad.
That's got to get the settle. I mean, that's just lethal with the Chandra plus.
Could get Farm to market,
Sure.
the farm. If Jim has plans to eventually answer the Hazoret, yeah, he'll just cast Farm on Glorybringer. Jim still only has 1 turn. And now, right now, because of the Opt, Jim scried to the bottom and drew. It's only, hold on, it's only under 4 cards, right, the Approach? So that Ipnu Rivulet could mill Jim for 4. He draws Approach, but then he'll be a land short.
Right.
He can get back to the card, but he can't cast it. Chandra plus, Jim's at 4.
And now Chandra plus Hazoret or Ramunap Room's activation just has Jim dead next turn.
Yeah, I don't think, I mean, Jim's got to try to draw Approach. There's, between, you're right, Chandra, Hazoret, and Ramunap Ruins, seems real unlikely that he can survive another turn. Does he draw Approach? He draws Glimmer of Genius.
So Glimmer costs 4. I don't think there's anything that costs 3 that gets him out of this.
Yeah, he'd need to gain some life. Approach the second sun gains life. Also wins him the game. if he glimmers into... No, I was going to say if he glimmers into cast out land, would that be good enough? But I don't believe so.
No, he's facing down 3 permanents that any combination of 2 deal lethal damage. Ramming Up Runes, Hazaret, Chandra.
Cast Market on Farm to Market. Draw 2, discard 2. So right now, the second card from the top is Approach the Second Sun, but I don't think this works.
No, yeah, just the attack from Hazaret, of course, lethal on its own.
A land and a pass from Jim. He leaves up Settle the Record. She's hoping that Tad misplays on this one. I don't think he's going to. Hazaret discards a card, discards Glorybringer. Chandra pluses for 2 more, and that's going to do it. No longer undefeated is Jim Davis. In round number 11, he picks up a loss to Tad Macaraeg playing Ramanap Red. So now the players are both tied for first, knocking Jim off out of his own bracket there and down to the 10-1s.
Yep. Yeah, Jim certainly had a loss to give. Still in great position. Tad pulling up to 10-1, in a great spot.